Hi everybody, it is Thursday afternoon and we are going to take another trip around the world. I still don't have any editing software, so we're going to be fairly brief for one of my around the world videos anyway. We're going to try to keep it at a half an hour or less, but we are going to take a little while and we're going to walk around the fish room and check out all the different tanks and have a little chat about what's going on in each one. So in my koi pond, goldfish pond, whatever you want to call this here, everything is going well. At the moment, we've got a little bit of cloudy water, and that is more from the fish stirring up stuff on the bottom than it is the water cloudiness itself. Recently, I took some of my floating water hyacinth from out in the pond in the yard, and we threw it here in the pond indoors just for the visual appeal of it. Now the goldfish will eat this and destroy it, chew it up. You can see it's got these beautiful roots on it. I know they don't look beautiful under the circumstances, but you can imagine how that opens up into the water when it's floating, and it looks like a chandelier made out of roots. And so some of that breaks off because we don't get enough light, and some of it gets destroyed because the goldfish eat the vegetation. And what has been happening is those broken loose roots are going under here and they're getting stuck on the intake of the pump that creates my little waterfall there. And so every couple of days I have to get in there and clear that off to get it flowing again. Right now it's flowing well, but it is probably flowing only at about 60 or 70% of its full flow. So we definitely have a little bit of clogging up going on in there. I do have a filter down here. It's underneath of this end, and we will be changing that tomorrow night on my Friday night live stream. So if you're not familiar with my live streams, I do a Friday night and a Sunday night live stream, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And we just spend the evening hanging out in the fish room, and we smoke a lot, and we talk and hang out and do some tank maintenance, etc., etc. So if you want to come hang out in the fish room with me live, Friday night and Sunday night is your time to do so. So otherwise, we don't have a whole lot to talk about here in the goldfish pond. I just wanted to make sure everybody got a good look at it. My peace lily over here is just growing out of control. This is the biggest, best peace lily we have in the entire house, and we have quite a few of these around in planters upstairs, and so this one is out of control. I'm absolutely loving that one. Other than that, not a lot going on there in the pond. So let's go ahead and turn this light off and cut back on some of the glare around the room, and we will make our way around. We still got a little bit of a mess. I do a live stream for my members only on Wednesday nights, and we did that last night, and so I haven't gotten in here and cleaned up the tripods and the buckets and the different various stuff we got into last night. So a little bit of a mess, but that's what you get with my round the world updates. You get what you get. I don't come in here and prepare the tanks or get everything cleaned up. I just come in here, grab the camera, and you all get to see exactly what my fish room looks like at any given moment. And so this is my 29 miscellaneous. This tank just sort of ticks over like a clock. Haven't really had any issues or problems with this tank in quite a while. The only thing I've done with it recently was top the water off, and I did that a few days ago. We still have the water back flowing through the center. That almost always happens on this tank. I don't worry too much about it. Maybe tomorrow night on Friday night's live stream we'll get in there and change those filters out or something. But otherwise, not really a lot going on in here. I did think the angelfish was going to be laying eggs. Last night she was over on the glass pecking and cleaning the glass, and she was chasing people away and kind of acting aggressive again. And usually when she starts behaving that way, it's not long before she's depositing eggs all over the glass. Oh, I was hoping we'd get a decent look at her. Such a beautiful angelfish. Absolutely love this one. But while I can see her clearly enough, this is just a difficult tank to get video of because of all the glare. And unfortunately, most people don't get to really appreciate how beautiful this angelfish really is. But I expected her to be laying eggs today, and she is not, so I'm not really sure what's going on with that. But she does that fairly often. Of course, she's in there by herself, so the eggs are never fertile. But she does lay them fairly often, and I was expecting that today, but no luck. Otherwise, everything is just ticking over like a clock, and nothing else really to talk about in the 29. So let us turn to the 55-gallon gourami tank, And now you can see how beautiful, crystal clear that water is, and the glass is nice and clean. We got in there the other day and we did a big water change on my Sunday night live stream. I know I keep mentioning my live streams, but some things have happened on my channel recently. If you're a regular viewer, you might have noticed I don't shoot as many videos as I used to, and I just spend a lot more time focusing on my live streams because that's what I enjoy. And again, not going to get into a big discussion about it now, but I just won't be shooting as many videos as I used to shoot. So if you do want to hang out, you do want to spend time with me or see what's going on in the fish room, ask me questions, troubleshoot problems you're having, just get some FaceTime with me. Friday night or Sunday night is your time to do that, again at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So Sunday night on the live stream, we got in here, did a huge water change, got the glass all wiped down. I can now see a couple little spots right there on the glass where I missed. But otherwise, it's looking pretty sharp. I'm quite happy with the way the tank is still looking. Now, I do need to get in here again. As always, we got that dark green mat of cyanobacteria that's growing over everything. I did put some cardinalis in here. One of my members, one of my regular viewers, supporters, gave me some of this cardinalis, and it's kind of hard to see, but you see the little stalk here. A lot of the upper leaves have broken off. I don't know if it's transplant shock. I don't know if the gouramis are chewing on it. Not entirely sure what's going on with that, but I think it's going to be okay. But we'll have to see. Gouramis are definitely plant eaters, and that cardinalis looks like a tender enough plant that we may have issues with it in this tank. But that is not the last we will see of it as we make our way around the fish room today. We have that in 3 of my tanks, and we'll see how well it works out. Other than that, nothing really to talk about. Again, just ticking over like a clock. My angelfish there that I've thought on many occasions now was dead, still with us and doing fine. Apparently it's just a very, very heavy sleeper, but otherwise seems to be perfectly fine. And those, of course, if you're wondering, are the roots of duckweed. That's what duckweed looks like from below when it is caught in the swirl. And this is some kind of weird duckweed, too. It's like giant-sized duckweed compared to the other stuff I have in my other tanks. They're tiny, tiny little plants. But each one of these, I mean, you can see each individual plant floating in the water like a little tiny floating bit of frog bed or something like that. So I actually kind of like the duckweed in here compared to the duckweed I have in other places. Alright, moving on. Nothing really to talk about in my 55 here. Angelfish is, discus is still doing well. We've got a lot of roots and light being blocked and everything from my water sprite up here, so I'll have to get in there and thin that out at some point. I guess I shouldn't have tapped on the tank like that. That kind of freaked everybody out. Sorry, fishies. Probably need to get in here and do some maintenance. The glass is getting kind of grungy. I've just now noticed, you can see that bright green in the back. That is definitely cyanobacteria that's growing on the tip of that crypt back there. And we got a little bit of cyanobacteria growing on the crypt over here. That's been in there for a while. Not too concerned about that, but I do want to get the glass wiped down. We do need to do a water change. I should probably get in there and remove as much of that Java moss as I can before it starts eating the tank and growing and attaching to everything. In fact, as I'm looking, I know it's kind of grungy looking, but you can kind of see on the intake behind where the heater is, we've got a lot of that Java moss growing back there, so the intake might be getting partially clogged from that. So we definitely need to get in here and do some work. If you've noticed, one of the tetras in there has those white things on its face. I do not know exactly what they were or are. A viewer of mine told me that it is some sort of tumor that tetras get occasionally. They're a member of a tetra community, and a lot of their members post pictures and video of tetras that get these little things on, like, sort of on their nostrils, it looks like. Sometimes they just fall off after a while. Sometimes the fish will spend the rest of its life with them there. And other times, if they continue to grow, it may actually interfere with the breathing or the eating or whatever. And that may wind up killing the fish. but it's nothing I can really do about it as far as I know. It's been like that for a long time, and none of the other fish in the tank are affected in any way, so I don't believe that it's any kind of fungal infection or anything like that, and it otherwise doesn't seem to bother the fish. And so I know it looks a little weird, but it's just this fish has little white cotton balls sticking out of its nostrils, and that's just the way this fish looks now. So not too worried about that, but if you noticed that, that is what is going on there. So that's about it for the 55. Come over here and we'll have a look at the 40. This is my tank with my black and white angelfish, Frank Gorshin, although at the moment I do not see it. I need to get some more fish in this tank to act as ditherfish. I can actually see the reflection of Frank Gorshin in the back corner there. You see the white on the glass, so he's hiding over here behind all that vegetation somewhere. There he is down there in the corner. So that's the angelfish I have in the tank. The only other fish that's in this tank is a rubberlip pleco, and I really need to stop feeding algae wafers into the tank because we're starting to get some hair algae, and the algae is just kind of starting to get out of control again, and it was getting cleaned up. It was going in the right direction. You see how nice and clear all the vegetation is, and I think that's because the rubberlip wasn't getting any other source of food, and now that I've been feeding the angelfish the excess fish food, and then of course I throw some algae wafers in there occasionally, and the rubberlip gets a hold of them immediately, and you can see we're starting to get some regrowth of some algae. It only seems to mostly be right under where I got a spotlight shining down on that. Actually technically it's a floodlight, but right in this area is where we seem to get the most algal growth, not surprisingly. So we'll have to just kind of play this tank by ear too. I know I've talked about redoing this tank a lot of times over the years, but it's just so sentimental for me. It's going to be tough for me to get in there and break it down. As far as this piece of pothos, if you've been looking at that, that is a secondary piece of pothos. My regular viewers know that we're growing this piece of pothos out of a bucket, and it goes all the way around the room, and we've now got it all the way over to Butterbean's tank. I am going to take it up and over Butterbean's tank. It sort of interferes with the view when we look at Butterbean, and we'll get to that later. But I'm going to bring it up, and I'm going to come up to the ceiling here, and we're going to go across that way, because if we look down at this end of the 125 that we're going to be looking at for a moment, the bucket is over here where the pothos starts, and it goes up, over, and then back down, and then it follows along here until it drops down. So what this piece is that goes into this tank, this is just a little side growth that came off of the main trunk, and I've got it laying down there. And so if anybody is interested in this pothos, I am more than happy to cut this and get rid of it, but it will be $25 for shipping. I have to put it in a fairly large box, and even then I don't know if I'd be able to roll it up small enough to put that in a small box, so you may have to get pieces of pothos unless you'd be willing to pay significant shipping for me to put it in a very large box. So email me if you're interested. My email's down below, as it is on all my videos, and I do have other aquatic plants for sale, so if you're interested, worst case scenario, I could simply cut this here and send you this part that has all the roots already attached to it or something. So if you're interested in pothos plant, shoot me an email and let me know what's going on with that. Alright, moving on to my 125. This is my New World tank, or so I call it. It has mostly New World fish, meaning North, South, and Central American fish, but it does have a few oddballs. I've got a shark in there that is Indonesian. I've got my spotted tilapia in the back here. She's a West African fish. And I think everybody else in there is North, South, or Central American. So we've got the silver dollars. I've got a bunch of gambusia. Those are native mosquito fish. I've caught them myself here locally. I've got some shiners in there that I bought at a bait and tackle shop years ago for 75 cents as jumbo shiners. Of course, they're now just in a league beyond what a jumbo shiner would even be considered. They're actually kind of hiding right back here at the moment. And I also have a white suckerfish that I caught myself. You can see that right there. When I caught that suckerfish, it was about the diameter of a pencil, and it was maybe 4 inches long. I caught it in my minnow trap one day, and that is probably 10 inches or more. We got in here and we measured my... Oh, I've also got this jewel cichlid right here. That is another African fish. Always forget about my little jewel cichlid in there. So that white suckerfish is getting pretty good in size, and I've also got a big pleco in the tank that I don't see at the moment. It's probably hiding under this piece of wood, except that I don't... Oh, never mind, it's sitting right here in front of my face. We measured this pleco on Wednesday night on my members only live stream. I have a piece of wood that I put... I basically made my own homemade ruler that I could lay in front of the tank, and that way when fish swam in front of it, I could see how big they were. And so we held it up to this one, to the very, very tip of its tail. It was 11 inches. So I was really surprised at how large that pleco has gotten. So I have an 11-inch pleco in this tank. And that's probably one of the largest nearite snails I've ever seen. I know it's hard to get a look at scale, so let's do this. That gives you a pretty good idea how big that snail is. It's huge. Alright, so moving on. Not a lot to talk about with my snail tank. I'm still dealing with the green water. By snail tank, I mean I just grow pond snails, ram's horn snails, or whatever. I grow them as a food source. It's not anything worth really talking about. But I've had green water in it forever, so I just leave the light off now, and the algae in the water sort of stays under control by doing that. My fancy goldfish tank, the one I often refer to as my ham tank, because all these fish act like a bunch of hams when they get a camera pointed at them or when they think they're going to get fed. Everything is going well in this tank. Doing well. The glass looks a little smudgy, and that makes the water look a little bit cloudy, but when we actually get up and look down into the water, you can see it's quite clearly nice and crystal clear. We had to clean out my sponge filter recently. That was so filthy and fouled and packed full of stuff. I had to wring that out for about 10 minutes to get it clear, and it doesn't look like we got a whole lot of bubble action coming out of it now, so we might have to get in there and clean that thing more frequently than I realized. These goldfish, of course, are very high bioload, and I got 4 of them in a 40-gallon tank here. So once again, we need to change out the filter. That thing needs to get changed out probably on a semi-weekly basis, or bi-weekly? No, bi-weekly would be every other week. Twice a week is what I'm trying to say, if I can't find the right words there. Otherwise, everything is doing well here in the tank. I'm a little bummed that this femur, well, you can kind of see the femur because that sort of looks like it's shaped like a femur, even though it's not the right color because it's covered in growth. But the one that really disappoints me is my jaw. I found a complete mandible or a jawbone from a deer, teeth and all, and you can see it's right there. There's where it would connect at the joint, and it comes down, and then this would be the front of the mouth, and then the teeth are right along here. And this is a rock. It is laying right up against a rock, but that piece right here is the jawbone of a deer. And the whole joke was supposed to be, you know, there's animal bones at the bottom. You know, these are some vicious goldfish. A deer fell in the tank at one point, or whatever. You get the idea. You know, killer goldfish, and of course we've got deer bones in the tank. And these are bones I found myself out on my hikes and strolls around in the woods. We find a lot of dead animals, dead deer and stuff around here. So finding some bones is not that unusual. So maybe a little bit morbid by somebody's taste, but I thought it was kind of neat. And unfortunately, you just never get to see those bones because they're just covered in so much growth. They barely are distinguishable from the rocks and everything else that's in the tank. Anyway, that's about all that is going on in the 40. We're going to move on over to the discus tank. And before we get to looking at the tank proper, we're going to go ahead and just pop our heads in here. I already shot a short, so we all got to see the lotus flower on the short video there, but that's a better look at the lotus flower blooming. Now, as I said in that little short video, one of the problems I always have is that when I have a nice lotus bud sticking up out of the water and getting ready to flower, I always wind up getting in there and doing a big water change or something that winds up wrecking it, and then the bud gets spoiled and never actually flowers. And so this time I left it well enough alone, and once again we have flower going on in there. So pretty awesome. I don't know how many people get lotus flowers blooming in their fish tanks, but I do on a regular basis, and I'm stoked. I just think it's so awesome. I just absolutely love having those beautiful flowers in there. We did get in here recently and we thinned out the red tiger lotus quite a bit. I still need to get in there. As you could see from looking down, there was some dead leaves. This leaf looks a little manky. This one's starting to, that one needs to get on out of there as well. But the tank itself is doing really well. We did a really big water change recently. We got the glass all wiped down, so everything is looking pin sharp. The discus are looking good. All their colors are vibrant and beautiful. And remember, I still don't have any editing software, so everything you're seeing now is just straight out of my phone. I'm not doing anything to enhance colors or brightness or anything like that. And in fact, I'm using an antique Galaxy S9 phone that I've been using for years and years, and so whatever that's worth to you quality wise, I just think this tank looks so amazing, and the colors on these discus are just so bright and vibrant. I just want to make sure everybody realizes that I'm not doing anything to this video to make them look like that. That's just how they look, and I dare say that if you were to ever see these in person, you'd probably be even more impressed, because they are far brighter to the eye than they ever come out on camera. The camera never does them justice. Absolutely thrilled with my discus here. So one of these days I'll shoot another video about my discus. I'll talk about my experience with them. They're definitely not a fish you need to be afraid of. All of the hype about all of the crazy water changes and strict diets and difficulty in keeping them and high temperatures and etc. Does not seem to be true in any way at all. These are fairly easy to maintain fish as far as I can tell, and as I've said before, if you can successfully keep angelfish, if you can successfully keep rainbow fish, then I don't see any reason why you would not also be able to successfully keep discus. So the price I can see being a little bit of an inhibiting factor, but let that be your only inhibiting factor. Don't be afraid to try them if you can afford them, and I'll just leave that at that. So that's what's going on in the discus tank, although if you look at my playlist, this is not listed as my discus tank. This is listed as my 125. So if you did want to look at any more videos of this tank, you need to look at my 125 gallon tank playlist. So moving on, getting towards the end, first thing we're going to touch on is a couple of freshwater mussels. I found these out at the reservoir yesterday, and for all the years I've seen mussel shells out there, I have never seen living mussels. And yesterday I found two of them right by the boat launch as I was bringing my kayak in. And so I brought them home. I was considering putting them in a tank. I didn't really know what to do with them. And upon talking with my members on my Wednesday night members only live stream, a couple of people did a little quick research for me while we were live. Read some basic quotes from Google about all the different bacteria and protozoa and parasites and everything that freshwater mussels carry. And so after a little bit of discussion about possible quarantine, possible medications, etc., we decided that the best option is to just take them right on back to the boat launch and let them go where I caught them, or it's not like I had to stalk them and catch them or anything, but you know what I mean. So we're going to take them back, and we're going to chuck them back into the pond where I found them. And it was fun, but I think better safe than sorry. I'm not going to risk putting them in one of my aquariums. So my 20-gallon tank here is sort of in lack of a central fish at this point. We took the angelfish, Frank Gorshin, the black and white angelfish that we saw briefly earlier, used to be in this tank, but it was getting big, it was getting aggressive. It killed the ram that I had in here, and then I removed it. I wish I had removed it before it killed the ram, but unfortunately I did not. So there's a little bit more of that cardinalis. This looks a little better than what was in the other tank. And I also forgot to mention we put some of that cardinalis in this tank. You can see it back here. I did have a piece planted in the front, but it did not take. This looks like it's doing well. So that's the second place that cardinalis is, and then this is the third place here in my 20. So we do need to get in here and remove some of this. You can see I've got some rotala growing in here. If we can actually get to it, there is some rotala in there. This is my regular duckweed. See how small the individual little pieces are? It's very, very different than the stuff that we've got in my other tank. And of course it makes great food for the goldfish, and they will gobble that up. So I've put handfuls of duckweed in the goldfish pond there, and it'll be gone the next day. They absolutely devour it. So I don't mind the duckweed. It's free fish food. It's just a little extra maintenance and cleaning. But we do need to thin out this water sprite that is blocking a lot of light from coming into the tank. I do like a tank that's nice and full of plants, and I like seeing all those roots, and just looks like a beautiful tank. But it's getting a little too overgrown. So in this tank, you can see I've got some embers tetras. They don't really school together enough for me to be able to count them. I think they are all still in there, but it also seems like there's less than there used to be. And I have a banjo catfish in this tank, and it usually looks pretty fat and plump, and I'm wondering if it's not in there every now and again, one by one, getting my ember tetras. But there's just so much place for them to hide in this tank, it's almost impossible for me to actually count and see if all 7 of them or 6 of them, I honestly don't even remember how many were in there. But I'm not sure what's going on with those, so I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, the tank itself is looking pretty good. I'm quite happy with it overall. Moving down to my quarantine tank down here, I had some clown plecos in here that I think are going to make their way into my 55 that's all covered in algae right now. But I was not sure if I had 1 or 2 in here. I'd not seen 2 of them at the same time for quite a while. I knew 1 was still in there, but I could not tell if both of them were still in there. So the other day I was topping it off, I was putting some fresh water in, and as the fresh water was swirling around, I saw all 3 of the clown plecos that are in this tank in there. So I've got 3 clown plecos in this tank. One of these days we will get in there, get them out, and rehome them at least into that 55 and maybe somewhere else. I don't know if I'm going to put all 3 of them in the same tank or not. And so last but certainly not least is my former brackish tank. This is Butterbean's tank, my figure 8 puffer. Definitely need to get in here and do some work. Maybe we'll do that on one of the live streams here coming up soon. Don't have the forward light turned on right now. Let me see if I can get down there and get that turned on without disturbing him too much. Give you a little better look at him. So he thinks he's getting some food. I really don't spend enough time in here for him to be used to me standing in front of him. When he sees me standing here, he just assumes it's feeding time, because that is so often the case. And he's hovering around in the middle right there because I keep a little floating piece of styrofoam with a little horseshoe cut out of it, and I drop his floating food in right into that little feeding ring, and it sits in the middle there, and that's why he knows how to find it, and that's why he keeps coming over and hovering around that one spot and checking. He's waiting to see if I've put any food in there for him. So the tank needs a little bit of maintenance. You can see all that stuff that's growing on the leaves right there, all this grungy stuff. That'll come off very easily with the simple siphon. Likewise, that little bit of stuff that's on the end of this piece of Anubias, that'll just come right off with the simple siphon. You can see how easily that stuff would come off those rocks. So it's about time to get in there and do a water change and siphon some stuff down, because otherwise a lot of the other stuff is very clean and clear. It doesn't have anything growing on it. You can see those rocks nice and plain as day. It looks like I just put them in there. So reducing the salinity in this tank and bringing it all the way back down to fresh water has not only been good for Butterbean, It's also been good for my plants. My Anubias is growing and putting new leaves back out. My Java is actually starting to come back to life and look good. And the grunge and the cyanobacteria and all that horrible red stuff seems to be dying out in there as well. So bringing this tank from brackish back down to fresh was a very good idea. So, alright everybody, I'm going to end the video here rather than turning back around or whatever. It doesn't really matter, but we're at that 30-minute mark, so I'm going to end this so I don't have to stitch two pieces together. As I said, I don't yet have any editing software, so I want to make sure I get this all in one clip. So thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed. Don't forget to check out my live streams every Friday night and Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're interested in joining a membership, that's $2.99. That'll get you access not only to the live streams on Wednesday night, but it will get you access to my Discord server where we have a nice thriving community, and you can be part of that, again, for $2.99 a month. That's a pretty sweet deal if you ask me. So thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you real soon on the next one.